All right, here she is. Now, I've already drained most of the fuel out of the tank. But there's still a little bit of fuel in the bowl. If I wanted to, I could actually fire it up and get it over there. But you know, there's a little exercise. Got some birds coming in here. Well, I got them in here and pooped on my thing. That's weird. All right, now, the truth is, I don't actually have to put it on the lift, but I'm going to, mainly because that'll let me sit in a chair and be able to, you know, be a little more comfortable working on it. Ounce of prevention worth a pound of cure. So, on these Sawtails, back in the day, and probably still even now, they had 3 screws that you attach it with. The one on the rear and the 2 on the side. Most bikes that they made only had the one on the back. So anyway, like I said, it's just, it ain't necessary to do this, but the first, really, when it comes to porting and polishing heads, if you want to get the benefit of all the other money that you're going to put into modifying a bike, you really all port and polish a head to start off with. It's a little bit expensive, but it's really the first thing you should do. Almost nobody does it, but we should. So these are Torx bits. That's the bolt that holds the back of the gas tank down, and that's going to be a Torx bit. Pretty hot out here today. We've been getting a lot of rain. And, you know, really, it's not that it's that hot. It's humid as hell. So, all right. Now we're gonna take the Speedo, or the Dash, what it's really called. You're gonna see. You saw me take that one bolt off, or nut, the bolt, or nut. Yeah, what the hell am I talking about? Anyway. So let's unplug all these connectors for the Speedo and whatnot. Now you really don't have to take all this off. You can just hang this over there, but you kind of run the risk of scratching your tank. You know, and I ain't gonna say I haven't done it before myself. You know, but it's kind of a shortcut. So I'm gonna try not to teach y'all bad habits. All right, let's take the bib off. All right, we're gonna undo the fuel gauge. We need to take the bolts out right here. All right, got my 7/16. Take that off. Just like that. All right, now, this, well, we're gonna undo. We gotta loosen up the adjusters on the throttle, and so we can take this off. I mean, you know what? I'm not even gonna do that because I really don't need to. I just lay it out of the way. We're just taking heads off. So, but I do have to loosen up the choke. Just gonna loosen that up. It loosens up pretty easy and push it down. Pretty simple. Instead of completely taking it off. That was on there. That'll be all right. This line right here is the line that goes to your, it's called a VOES. It's on your petcock. It's a vacuum operated switch. Anyway, it's a diaphragm that shuts off the petcock. And you know, because back in the day, some of them, if you didn't cut the petcock off, it would sit there and bleed down and flood your bike while you was in there in the bar getting drunk. And you come outside, your bike wouldn't start, and it's hard to look cool, you know, when that shit happens. So anyway, just, you know, pay attention to that line. All right, now we're gonna take the, this is your MAP sensor. That's the manifold absolute pressure sensor. Anyway, you're just gonna simply unplug it on the back side of it. No big deal, just leave it in there. Now, on these, the intake is held on with these Allen bolts, and you can tell mine are getting more out. I may put some new ones on there when I go back together with it. But when I worked for Harley, Mac Tools, they made this, it's for the intake bolts on the Harleys. But anyway, they made this tool. I don't know if they still make it. I don't know if you can find it on eBay or something like that. But it's pretty handy. It's mainly getting the ones in the back. The two in the front, they're pretty easy to get to. We'll see if they come loose easy, and we'll see. Yeah. And it's just ratcheting, makes it easier. You know, if you're not sitting there doing this stuff as fast as you can for a living, because you're being ripped off by the owner of the dealership, they're paying you flag hours instead of a hourly rate, like they should. You know, every little thing you can do to shave time is important. Now, sometimes you'll have to take the horn off, you know, depending if you got this tool or not. I mean, I may even have to move it out of my way, but we'll see. There we go. Now you don't have to take the, you just got to loosen them up good, because the hole is slotted, and you can pull it off from the other side. There we go. Now I'll show y'all something. Years ago, this right here, actually I accidentally broke it. I think I dropped it or something like that, but you can see one of the benefits of having a TIG welder that you can aluminum weld with, and you have the knowledge and skill of aluminum welding. In one of our videos, I'll show you how. But you can weld that stuff up, machine it down. I mean, I use my boring bar, but you could have done it with a Dremel, and then you're not having to waste your intake and go buy another one. Anyway, all right, let me put this over here. That's one of the things on this channel I'm going to show you, because, you know, all the experience that I gained from working in steel mills and paper mills and for Harley Davidson, and you know, they sent me to a lot of training, and that training not only taught me one specific thing, but because it was such a broad area of mechanicking, I was trained on, like I said, on aluminum welding, machining, you know, fabricating, and all this kind of stuff. And see, that is what's helped me save an ass pocket load of money on things that need to be repaired. Instead of me having to go out and buy that part, I've got the tools and the know-how to fix that part, and I'm going to show y'all how to do it through these videos. Anyway, okay, the next thing we need to do, we're going to take off the upper motor mount to get the heads loose, and then we'll start tearing apart the rocker. They just break these loose. Now when we go back together with this, I'm going to tell you, it is absolutely critical that to control vibration, because a loose upper, well, any motor mount, but especially the top one, if it isn't torqued down where it can't loosen up, you're going to pick up some vibration, and that's just going to be aggravating as hell. So, matter of fact, when you do your servicing on these bikes, you're supposed to check the torque on all the critical fasteners. This is one of them, to make sure it's still correct. That bolt there is a 5/8. Go ahead and take it completely out of my way. You don't have to, you can kind of drape it over the frame, but since we're making this video, I don't want anything obscuring y'all being able to see what I'm doing. Now I'll tell y'all another trick that really I should be doing, and I might actually do it here in a second. And we did it at the dealership, because as a mechanic, if you accidentally mess up somebody's paint, well, the owner makes you pay for it more often than not. Depends on if the owner's a dickhead, but you'll be surprised. But I really should have a towel or something draped over my front fender in case I drop a wrench. Anyway, talking about that ride to Montana, me and my buddy, like I said, it's a little over 20 something days, and we closed down every bar from Arkansas to Montana and back, except for one day. We took one day off and just rested and watched TV. But I'm gonna tell you, it was a good time. If you ever have an opportunity to do a ride like that, you ought to. Now, like I say, when we go back together with this, you know, just like the factory trained me, every bolt is Loctited, every bolt is torqued, because nothing sucks worse than having your bolts fly off while you're going down the road, you know, from vibration. And it's just the right way to do it. It's the way they do it at the factory, you know, and they've been doing it for a long time. They probably got it figured out. I don't necessarily, you know, like the idea of taking shortcuts that compromise the quality of the job done. Looking like it's about time to do this job anyway. That one rocker box right there is starting to weep a little bit, probably from corrosion on the gaskets. I mean, like on these, I could have a ratchet over here and doing it, but like I said, I'm not doing this for a living no more, so I can take my time. It's not a big deal. And you'll see that really this particular job on these twin cams, especially twin cam, doesn't take that long to do. You can get these things apart super easy, and you can save yourself some money instead of taking it to a dealership and paying them $150 an hour. If you got a few wrenches, you don't even have to have, you know, impacts and stuff like that. And you can take that money that you're saving and pay for the porting and polishing of the heads, or whatever it is you're doing to the heads. I mean, taking these heads off, you might be taking them off because you need to rebuild them, or, you know, you're wanting to deck them to get more compression, or whatever you're doing. It's the same process. All right, now we'll take the rocker arms off. So and when we go back together with all this stuff, there's a sequence that you tighten this stuff down in, and I'll show it to you. And if you got a service manual, which I recommend anytime you're working on anything, whatever it is, if you can get a service manual from the manufacturer or one that's made by the manufacturer, you know, I recommend it. But I'll show you the sequence, and it's super important because, you know, especially on the internals of a bike or any engine, you don't want the bolts to be coming out. That makes for a really bad day. Twin cams, when they come out, I mean, they're a damn good engine. Like I said, this one got 78,000 miles on it. The Dyna just turned 99,000. I've rode and got buddies who put hundreds of thousands of miles on them. And it's a damn good engine. It will go a long time. It will go a long time. But it's got a bad reputation for the cam chain tensioners going out and getting into the cam bearings and them shitting the bed, and then the whole engine gets all jacked up. There's nothing wrong with those style of tensioners. What Harley Davidson's mistake that they made was, and I recommend, even back then, I told every customer, I told them, I said, if you can afford it, this is a modification you need to do. But what Harley should have done is, at every 10,000 mile service, they should have had it in the service manual that you pull the cam cover so that the mechanic can inspect the tensioners, the wear on the tensioners, and if they were worn, that he could go ahead and replace them. Now, before there was damage. Now, the problem with, and this is what created people not doing it when they should, and is because the original push rods in these twin cams were just a solid push rod. And so to be able to take the cam support plate out to get to the back tensioner, you had to do exactly what I'm doing. You had to take the tank off, open up the rocker boxes, and take off these rocker arms and pull the push rods out to be able to do that job. That added a lot more time and money to the cost of it. And what they should have done, like I do to every one of my bikes, and I've always recommended to my customers and my friends, is that to buy you some adjustable push rods. Aftermarket companies make them, S&S, and hell, even Screaming Eagle, which is Harley Davidson, made them. You could put them in there. Why they didn't do it at the factory is beyond me. But with the adjustable push rods, you can do the job in a quarter of the time. And anyway, so there it is. All right, so now what we're about to do, I've done got the exhaust off, and the heads are ready to come off once I remove the bottom rocker box. And but now this is an important thing that you don't have to do, but it'll save you a step later on, and you won't have to you know, fiddle with your push rod and stuff. But like I said, I've got adjustable push rods. You may or may not have them, but it's the same principle. You'll see a line up here at the top of the push rod. The wide line is for the exhaust push rods. The skinny one is for the intakes, all right? And since these are adjusted specifically already for where they're at, I'm gonna pull these out and drip oil all over everywhere. And I'm gonna keep them separated to put them right back where they go, you know. So. just like so. We take the bottom rocker boxes off. Like I say, after I take these off, you're pretty much, I mean, you're on the downhill side. You take the 4 head bolts out, and then you pick up the head, and then you mail it to Fast Freddy, because he needs a business and he's super good. I believe, yes. All right, pick it up, pull the gasket off. Now I recommend going back for more gaskets. There was a time, well actually back when the twin cam first come out, Harley Davidson had their gaskets on these things were so good, you could actually reuse them multiple times without worrying about leaks. But, you know, the motorcycle industry is struggling a little bit nowadays, so they've had to cut manufacturing corners. Anyway, you can't do it now. You gotta go back with new one. Okay, now, one thing you may notice that you gotta remember, this is a 2004, okay? And in 2006, all twin cam heads had beehive single wound valve springs, whereas the heads originally come on this, and all twin cams before 2006 had double wound coil. And these are actually better for your performance for your valve train. And so as you can see that these are in here, I've been in this engine many times. As a matter of fact, the first modification I did to it was I went ahead and bumped my compression ratio up a scotch, get a little more horsepower out of it. And so I pulled the heads off, and I decked the heads. I milled off 30 thousandths. Theoretically, that brings you up about a half a point in compression. Now I'm still running 88 cubic engine. I've got 95 and stuff like that, but I just think it's kind of neat to eke out as much horsepower and performance out of a smaller displacement, you know. Plus, like I said, I just tour on the thing, so I ain't trying to pop wheelies or nothing on it. But anyway, and the second thing I did was when I installed the cams. They're S&S 585 cams. I really like them. For my style of riding, they work real good. But anyway, and so to help with valve float, I had to go to these springs. Well, I didn't have to, but at high RPM, I'd have been running the risk of valve float, and that ain't good. So anyway, all right, our next step, we're about to pull the heads off, is we're gonna sit here and take off the head bolts. Now I need an extension, so hang on. Like I said, they're 1/2 inch, and you got to use a 12-point socket on them. And like I said, I mean, y'all just heard me say that I've had these heads off twice. And you're probably thinking right now, well, Dave, why didn't you take them and have them floating in? And I thought about it, but I was in a hurry. And the guy was super backed up. He's got a little more time right now. But anyway, he was backed up. And I knew I was going to be doing some touring, and I didn't want to wait. And plus, you see how easy the job is. It ain't nothing to take them back off. Now you want to make sure you pay attention. You don't want your push rods falling down or covered, falling on the ground. All right, that's one head. All that's left now is to remove the front head using the same steps. As soon as you get both of them off, make sure you ship them to Fast Freddy. He does great work and he's reasonably priced. And when you get them back from him, go ahead and watch part 2 and you can see how I reinstall them. And ending it here, I'll see you on the next video.